So happy to have Lisa Brookman from Wise Women Montreal with us on the BT Couch because she is wise.
Thank you.
Let's get to it. We're talking about fighting. Couples,
Yes.
how do you argue properly? And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that the way you argue is just as important as the way you are in good times. The bad times are just as important as the good times.
Definitely. I mean, arguing is an art.
Yeah.
And arguing is healthy. A lot of people think, oh, you know, we don't have a good relationship if we're arguing. If you're arguing and you're communicating, that's a really big plus to your relationship.
And yeah, do you think there's such a thing as a couple that doesn't argue?
I highly doubt that.
Okay.
It means they're not communicating.
Right. One of the big things that we wanted to talk about is this idea of not fighting in front of the kids. Now, I know a lot of people are watching this at home and they're saying, I have kids, where are we supposed to go? What are we supposed to do? Tell us about why it's not good and how they get around that.
So first of all, arguing in front of the kids makes your kids feel very uncomfortable, makes them feel nervous around you. And like we were talking before the break, you anticipate almost when your parents are in kind of a mood, you kind of say, oh,
it's coming.
An argument is coming. So I always say to couples that come to see me, go into privacy, go into your bedroom, go downstairs in the basement, go for a little walk around the block. Like you said, go in the car.
Yeah.
Really, really try not to do that in front of your children, because also not only are you affecting them, but we should be modeling good behavior.
Right.
And if we're yelling and screaming at our partner, we're teaching our children that that's the way to get your point across, and that's not a very healthy thing.
And so what should somebody do if it's escalated to both people are yelling? How do you disengage? How do you break the yelling, and just how do you do that while making each other feel secure?
Well, I think timeouts are very, very important, especially with adults. If you are getting escalated and you're yelling and screaming and you're, you know, using bad words or hitting below the belt, that should be your cue to say, listen, I need to take a step back.
Yeah.
And I always tell couples, be in charge of yourself, but also recognize what's happening in your partner. Mm-hmm. So if you see that your partner is getting very escalated and they're ranting and raving, it's okay for you to say, listen, we're both very upset now. I see you're getting upset, I'm getting upset. Let's touch base in half an hour when we both kind of calm down. And it's
important to set that time limit. Don't let that linger on in the air.
Yes. Time limits are important,
yeah.
So don't let it linger for 2 weeks. But even if you take it, you know, a couple hours to yourself, go for a walk, go for coffee with a friend, mm-hmm. go read a book, and then come back and talk. The communication, in a calmer way. And it's you get much more said and done when you're talking in kind of a more controlled way.
Yeah. And very important also to not hold a grudge.
Yes.
Because once you've decided to resolve the argument, you can't bring it up 2 weeks later.
Exactly. So one of the most important things with couples and arguing is resolution. If you don't have resolution, what happens is that the argument, it does dissipate a little bit, but it kind of still lingers. Mm-hmm. And then you get in an argument 2 weeks later about something, and then you start kind of bringing up the old grudge of what happened 2 weeks ago because it was never resolved.
Right.
So I always tell clients that you should not be arguing endlessly. You have a time limit, you give yourself a point, and you can agree to disagree. You don't always have to have a resolution where one person is right and the other one is wrong.
I think that's important, is that it's not about being right, which is really hard, Lisa, when you're in it. You know, I think back to past relationships when you're younger, especially, you want to be right. You want the other person to acknowledge, but when thinking about it, I think you just really want the other person to acknowledge your feelings.
Definitely, and to be able to talk in I's rather than you. So in a lot of arguments, people get very upset and they say, you did this and you made me feel that way, and then what happens is your partner becomes defensive.
Right.
They feel like they need to kind of put up a wall and protect themselves, and nothing gets done. So it's very important to say, I feel this way, I acknowledge how you feel, and to really use I's. And that really helps also to kind of help the relationship move forward and help the communication open up between the two people.
And also, we don't have time to get to it, but I want to bring you back for this, Lisa, as men and women fight in such different ways.
Yes.
I feel like men want to find a solution and women just want to be heard. So that's a whole, we'll
come back to do that.
We'll come back to do that because that's very important. Again, Wise Women Montreal, the blog is out when?
This week, towards the end of the week, there'll be a blog on communication.
Lisa Brookman, thank you so much.
You.
Again, you are coming back. We are discussing
I promise.
this. All right, stay tuned, you guys. So much more to come. You're watching Breakfast Television right here on City.